Candidate Madison Cawthorn calling out politicians and athletes who are refusing to stand for the national anthem.
They kneel to the violent mob. They kneel to socialism. I am tired of being represented by cowards who kneel.
I will never kneel. I will stand.
Cawthorn also famously took a stand for our flag during the GOP convention. Joins us now with more on his message. So, first off, I guess, Madison, the question would be, what did you think this weekend where there was scattered protests? Some teams stayed in the locker room. It looks like some locked arms. Bengals and Chargers stood out and locked arms during the national anthem. How did you think the NFL handled it?
You know, I think the players at the NFL, you can see there's a significant majority who are choosing to stand this season. I'm so thankful for that.
So when you look at race relations in our country, do you see some progress that needs to be made, and do you think you could play a role in that?
You know, I do. I think we can always move forward. I think I represent a generation who's probably one of the least racist generations in the entire history of the world. And I think that we can play a role moving forward of just being a more inclusive society. But I do believe our country is the most forward-thinking, most inclusive country there's ever been.
So what's the disconnect? Because there seems to be such anger, and then there's people who are so disenchanted because of the anger. What's going to bring the sides together?
Well, I think it's a twofold problem. On one side, you have a liberal left who is wanting to hijack race relations in order to move forward their political agenda. And then on the right, you have cowardly Republicans who are just letting them run away with the ball. And that's really what I wanted to signify when I stood up. It was as a beacon to say there is a new generation of conservatives who are coming who aren't going to back down to a mob and who are going to put America first. And that's every citizen.
I don't think many people would call Tim Scott a liberal, and Tim Scott put together a proposal to modernize or reform law enforcement. Do you think progress has to be made there?
I do. I'll tell you, I think that Tim Scott's plan was really, really well thought out. And you saw that the Democrats shot it down because they want to just continue this vitriolic rhetoric. I think that there's always room for improvement in every single agency, especially with law enforcement. But I do believe we have the greatest law enforcement in the world in our country, and they protect all of our citizenry.
All right, and let's look at some of the things on your agenda. We put a few bullet points together. You want a balanced budget amendment. Good luck with that, with $3 trillion over. Term limits for members of Congress, combating the rise of socialism in America. How do you expect to pass term limits on people that don't want to be term limited?
Well, I think we need to make it part of the national conversation. You know, we got term limits passed, a constitutional amendment to have term limits onto the presidency passed, and a lot of people didn't think that would be possible. But I think that term limits is something that has to happen because career politicians are running away with our country, and they do not represent normal Americans.
And lastly, Madison, what has the response been when you introduce yourself to the nation, really, outside North Carolina, with your appearance at the RNC?
Overwhelmingly positive. I'll tell you, just about everywhere we went, I think my message resonated with a lot of people who feel disenfranchised by both sides of the political aisle. Because right now, there's such a partisan divide. People are just looking for a hope and for a future.
Madison.